Number 10. James Brown. James Brown is one of the maximum well-known and excellent singers of all time. Style, funk and soul. James Brown is one of the maximum excessive electricity vocalists ever. You may hear it oozing through his recordings, let alone if you see him perform live on Degree. The amount of honors, awards, and halls of repute that he's in are limitless. His capabilities on the pinnacle of maximum lists of greatest artists ever, not to mention high-quality singers. You already know a singer left a big legacy while they're the most sampled artist of all time, an honor that Brown holds. Believe the royalties that pour in from that by myself. Few artists were given titles that everyone has the same opinion on, and James Brown is maximum clearly the godfather of soul. Minutiae data: James Brown released 57 studio albums. His lifestyles changed into an top-notch experience. He did superb social activism paintings, changed into accused of the whole lot underneath the solar and responsible of some of it, and has had many tribute live shows held in his honor.
Number 9. Steve Perry. Steve Perry is the lead singer of Journey and without difficulty one of the excellent singers ever. Style, rock and roll. Steve Perry is pleasant acknowledged for his work because the lead singer of the band Journey, though he's had an illustrious solo career as nicely. Like James Brown above, Perry has been talented a moniker, known as the voice via none apart from John Bon Jovi. Perry is inside the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, ranked frequently many of the first-class singers of all time, and renowned for his vocal variety. He can sing from F number 2 to A5, many to name him a high tenor altino. He's the golden voice of 80s area rock. Trivia statistics: Steve Perry's first solo report went 2 instances platinum. With Adventure he scored 1 diamond, 10 platinum, and 3 gold data, making them one of the pleasant-selling bands of all time. Even these days, their vintage songs from the 80s are peaking the download charts in apps like iTunes.
Number 8. Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney of the Beatles is one of the nice singers inside the world. Style, soft rock and pop. Paul McCartney is a multi-instrumentalist that made his name with the Beatles. He has written and co-written 32 songs which have reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, generally co-written with bandmate John Lennon. His solo profession, his bandwings, and his collaborations with Michael Jackson are all excessive points of a notable run that also keeps these days. Sir Paul has been knighted, honored and offered in more ways than viable to list, and has one of the maximum great voices to ever grace the microphone. He is one of the maximum influential musicians and people on the earth. Trivialities information: the Guinness eBook of Worldwide Data Capabilities served Paul McCartney 2 times, recognizing him because the most successful songwriter of all time and as the most venerated composer and performer. McCartney's music The Day Before Today is the maximum covered track of all time, remade by way of over 200 other artists and bands.
Number 7. Aretha Franklin. Absolutely everyone concurs that Aretha Franklin is one of the maximum talented singers in our history. Genre: soul, jazz, blues, doo-wop, R&B, and gospel. Aretha Franklin's profession in the end took off in 1967 along with her hit track Appreciate, and that attention helped all people understand how amazing her vocal skills and different songs have been. It did not take long for her peers to deem her the Queen of Soul. Even in 1998 she became nonetheless topping the charts and freeing gold albums. To attest to her skill, she's had 112 charted singles at the Billboard charts, received 18 Grammy Awards, and has grown to be one of the first-rate promoting music artists of all time, promoting over 75 million facts globally. She's also the primary woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Corridor of Reputation. She's in nearly every different track hall of repute, too. Trivia facts: Aretha Franklin has been offered not most effective the National Medal of Arts, however, also the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Rolling Stone ranks her as the #1 nice singer of all time, however I am now not ready to go that some distance. She's even won a Pulitzer Prize citation.
Number 6. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra is one of the pinnacle singers of all time and a really recognizable name with an amazing voice. Genre: jazz, swing, easy listening, and pop. In case you concept, Aretha Franklin bought lots of statistics at 75 million, Frank Sinatra has bought 2 times that many. He is in all likelihood the maximum popular and influential musician of the 1900s. You've got possibly heard of the Rat Percent, a group of artists that ran the Las Vegas casino venue circuit for a long term. He changed into the lead member. The amount of Lifetime Success Awards, Tune Awards, or even governmental awards are too many to remember. Time magazine even calls him one of the maximum influential human beings, no longer simply musician. At the moment, his voice is one of the most recognizable, still heard often in all styles of entertainment. He turned into an extraordinary showman that left as large of a mark as Michael Jackson. Triviality statistics: Frank Sinatra has had his likeness portrayed in many films and television indicates, such as a whole miniseries primarily based on his life. Sinatra himself idea that the singer inside The Godfather changed into secretly primarily based on his own existence. He launched a complete of 59 studio albums. Number
5. Ella Fitzgerald. Even though many these days do not know of Ella Fitzgerald, she was and is one of the first-rate vocalists of all time. Genre: swing, bebop, pop, jazz, and blues. Known as the primary lady of tune, Ella Fitzgerald is recognized now not handiest for her leisure price, however her vocal talent set. Professionals reputable her diction, purity of tone, intonation, timing, phrasing, and improvisation, along with her scat making a song. Her maximum prestigious accolades are 14 Grammys, the Countrywide Medal of Arts, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Her musical profession stabilized with the Chick Webb Orchestra, grew together with her illustrious solo career, and become hit atop whilst she started out performing as a visitor on daylight and midnight TV indicates and having roles in films. She became solidified as one of the exceptional singers ever as soon as she started out taking part with other vocal greats. Minutiae facts: in 2008, a hearth at Established Studios Hollywood destroyed much of her material. Luckily, we are able to count on most of her masters had been digitized by then. Fitzgerald was notoriously shy. She once took part in a chain of indicates on Broadway which generated over $1 million in weeks in 1975, that is manner greater in contemporary cost.
Number 4. Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury is without difficulty one of the nice singers ever. His vocal talent is extremely good. Genre: difficult rock, song corridor, glitter, and prog rock. Freddie Mercury is probably the high-quality lead singer in rock song ever. He is regarded for having an improbable 4-octave vocal range. Even though he handed on at an early age, he still controlled to find his manner into every track hall of reputation and get hold of limitless awards. He is even ranked as one of the best Britons in step with the BBC. His existence and making a song expertise was so first-rate that there may be been level performs, musicals, biographical films, and television suggests all based totally around his lifestyles and that of his glam rock band Queen. With Queen, he's one of the first-rate selling artists of all time. Trivia data: many question if Freddie Mercury's passing is what revitalized the popularity of Queen, however that argument is moot now. It has been 21 extra years and they're still crushing it within the digital charts and keeping their fan base. His existence and passing raised lots attention of an important ailment, displaying how his contributions prolonged beyond simply song. 3. Marvin Gaye. There may be no person with the intention to argue in case you say Marvin Gaye is one of the great vocalists of all time. Style: soul, R&B, funk, pop, and jazz. Marvin Gaye is one of the royalty that fashioned the sound of Motown, garnering him the titles of Prince of Motown and the Prince of Soul. He went on to persuade the sound of Destiny R&B subgenres like neo-soul and Quiet Storm. To no wonder, he landed within the R&B Music, Songwriters, and Rock and Roll Hall of Repute as well as a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Gaye's 4-octave vocal variety become widely recognized, and a testimony to his making a song competencies, due to the fact he specifically recorded in baritone and tenor levels, which can be quite the alternative of each other. He is widely protected and sampled by using artists in tons of genres, along with even metallic. Minutiae statistics: Marvin Gaye became a tax exile in Europe for some time within the early 1980s. His rendition of the countrywide anthem on the 1983 NBA All-Famous Person Overall Performance was the first video VH1 ever aired on January 1, 1985. His property still earns tens of millions in line with year even after his passing in 1984.
Stevie Wonder. Steve Marvel is known for his piano gambling abilities, but his making a song is most of the exceptional as properly. Genre: soul, pop, R&B, funk, and jazz. Stevie Surprise is one of the maximum successful songwriters and musicians of all time. He is seen as a pioneer of genres which include R&B, funk, rock, pop, and soul due to his heavy inclusion of electronic contraptions earlier than others stuck on. He sold over 100 million fax and has received 25 Grammys. He is in all of the halls of fame and even has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Repute. Uniquely among musicians, he was even named a United Nations Messenger of Peace. He was given many honorary degrees, such as a Doctor of Tune from Yale University. Trivia records: you likely recognize this, however Stevie Wonder is blind. He is tied with Frank Sinatra for the maximum Grammy Award for Album of the 12 Months Awards ever. Kanye West said his goal is to compete with Intervisions and songs inside the key of existence of Stevie's greatest albums. This is a high bar.
Number 1. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is the quality singer of all time. Style: pop, soul, funk, R&B, rock, disco, and dance. Michael Jackson is simply certainly one of, if now not the high-quality singer of all time. Like others, he became given an identify because the king of father. He is one of the maximum vast cultural figures and is the greatest entertainer inside the records of tune. Even attempting to talk approximately all of his awards could be pointless. They even extend into the dance world. He's genuinely the king. Jackson credited James Brown as one of his impacts, in addition to Diana Ross, from whom he found out to interject "seems like ooh" into his vocals. He began singing as a soprano, descended to a tenor, and in the end settled at the higher falsetto range. Trivialities information: Michael Jackson had no formal track training and changed into unable to write down or study tune notation, although he ought to play a couple of gadgets to some extent. He favored to beatbox when describing the song he changed into listening to in his head.